Hey guys, welcome to ScareTheater, and today I'm doing my list of my top 10 least favorite creepypastas. This one was requested by WyattCats87, and also before I do the video, I want to say that I actually collabed on this one with ReignBotHorror. She's in this video, and on her channel, she just posts like creepy stuff, so if you like my channel, you're probably going to like her channel too, so why don't you go over there and subscribe after watching this. And yeah guys, so here are our top 10 least favorite creepypastas. 10. Sonic.exe. Sonic.exe is a creepypasta about someone who gets a Sonic game, accompanied by a letter in the mail from his friend. Upon playing the game, the author witnesses a lot of things that indicate that something is seriously wrong. This creepypasta has become very popular, and there's even a fan-made game based on it. But here's the thing. The story sucks. I first want to get out of the way that it's pretty much impossible nowadays to create a video game pasta that is not cliché, so you might as well not even bother trying. Cliché is the only word that actually describes the story best. It's filled with gore that honestly doesn't seem like it was actually put there for any other reason but to shock the audience. It was almost laughable to see that the author used a 666 reference for no reason at all. And of course, a story isn't cliché until the author uses the word hyper-realistic.
So at number 9 we have Town of Blanch, or Blanc, whatever. I'm not too sure how to pronounce it, but please don't kill me for that. So I don't think the story is actually terrible, but in my opinion it's barely a story because it's only a few paragraphs long, really short ones, and it introduces an idea, but then that's about it. It just abruptly stops and is almost comedic actually in its ending. And it actually managed to become the worst rated creepypasta on Creepypasta.com, which is funny because I don't think a lot of people talk about this or know about that, but yeah, just because of that, I think it deserves to be on this list.
8. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer is a very popular creepypasta that people actually thought was good at one point, but now people have come to their senses, and the story has actually ended up on the Trollpasta wiki. There are so many things wrong with the story, I really don't even know where to begin. I'll just save you the time and link an entire video I made about why Jeff the Killer is terrible. You can click anywhere on the screen or check the description.
At number 7 we have Laughing Jack. So I know a lot of people really love this character and are gonna probably hate me for putting him on this list, but just hear me out. I actually really like the story up until the end. The beginning was really interesting to me and it kept me hooked on the story, but the ending for me just seemed like an excuse to use as much gore as possible, and I think the fact that a child was murdered was just sort of used as shock value, honestly, more than anything. So I kind of felt in the end that the story was really cheap and really brief at that, actually. I didn't really get who Laughing Jack was, and I was hoping to get a little bit more from the story, but it just didn't happen. I sort of feel like the author had the climax and the gore in mind first and wrote the story around that, but didn't find a good enough way to sort of build up to it or execute it properly. And I guess that was the biggest thing about this story, is that it gets so much attention and it's so popular, but I just don't see it. I don't see why, and I understand the gore is there, but does gore really make a good horror story? In my opinion, not always.
6. Jane the Killer. Jeff the Killer was terrible, and Jane the Killer was no different. There really isn't too much to say about this one. It just isn't practical to take a story that is already appalling and then make a spin-off of it. It's sort of like Brussels sprouts. There's absolutely nothing you can do to make Brussels sprouts taste good. The same thing applies to Jeff the Killer.
At number 5, we have Homicidal Liu, or Louis, depending on how you read his name. Okay, so my reasoning behind choosing this character, or this story, to be on this list should be painfully obvious. Trying to ride on Jeff's coattails and just write a story because he's so popular is just never a good idea. I mean, that's like, any horror spin-offs that you've seen in movies, they just never work out, and that's just the truth. In my opinion, the story is just really cheap, and it's just trying to, just bank off of Jeff the Killer, because the community... Okay, by the way, I don't have a problem with the author who wrote this. I mean, they could have just wrote it for fun, for all I know, but do we really need more of this? Just ask yourselves that.
4. Eyeless Jack. Eyeless Jack literally had me face palming all the way through. I still can't fathom how any human being thinks this story actually makes any sense. At one point, the main character goes to a doctor, and the doctor discovers a sewn-up incision on his side. And the doctor says, word for word, "You somehow lost your left kidney last night. We don't know how, though. Sorry, Mitch." He didn't, try to figure out the cause. He just said sorry and let him go. If any doctor literally said that, then I don't even understand how he would become a doctor in the first place. I'm pretty sure that line altogether sums up why the story sucks. But there are several worse things about that in the story if you just read it yourself.
At number 3, we have Come Play With Me or Sally. Alright, so once again, my motivations for picking this should be painfully obvious, and I don't have anything against the author because I'm sure that they wrote it with the best intent, but it just sickens me to see that this character is made so popular just because she's a child who got sexually assaulted. I really don't think that it's something that we as a, community, the Creepypasta community should throw around, I guess, the way that we do, if that makes any sense. It just seems that there are certain people who think that using something innocent, such as a child or a girl or whatever, someone young, and showing them getting abused or raped or murdered or whatever is the best form of shock value to get your story out there. Like in Laughing Jack, like in Squidward's suicide, and the same thing with Sally. You're going to use a child's misfortune to push your story. Now, I understand these things do happen in real life. It's not like we have to pretend that they don't happen, but it's just the way that we go about talking about it and treating the situation, I think, is just not correct, and this story really doesn't help it, in my opinion.
2. Cupcakes. I think that Cupcakes is bad simply because of its lack of plot. Cupcakes is a My Little Pony fanfiction about a cannibalistic pony that tortures and kills another pony to make cupcakes out of her. The entire story just gruesomely describes Pinkie Pie murdering Rainbow Dash. Other than that, there really isn't any plot at all. I found it to be extremely boring, and it all didn't really lead up to anything. It sort of reminds me of the Human Centipede 2. There was no story at all, just gore. And for that reason, it was terrible.
At number 1, we have Clockwork, Your Time Is Up. So the story begs for us to feel sorry for the main character. She gets abused by her parents, and she gets dumped by her boyfriend for no reason, and she's just going through a lot of hard things that people have to go through in high school. So does that justify her going around murdering everyone? Hell no. If you're a fan of the story and still disagreeing with me, think back to the Slender Man stabbings that happened a few years ago. I'm sure that these girls were having a lot of troubles in their lives or at school or whatever it may be, and they found Creepypasta and the Slender Man character as a way to kind of cope with that. But at the end of the day, was trying to murder their friend the right thing to do? No, it wasn't. I'm not saying that everyone who reads creepypastas or this story are going to act out like that, but in a way, the story and Jeff the Killer almost condone that type of behavior, and in my opinion, that's just probably one of the most unfortunate things about stories like this. And that is the ultimate reason why I decided to put it so high on this list at number 1.
These were some of the creepypastas that ReignBotHorror and I thought were absolutely atrocious. Leave some of the creepypastas that you thought were terrible in the comments below, and remember to subscribe to ReignBotHorror. And that is it, guys. I will see you on the flip side.